Well, Carl, good morning, and on
Great.
behalf of the Bangalore 10K 2014, I'm delighted to welcome you to Bangalore and India. What are your first impressions of this fantastic city?
Well, I've not been here before. I've been to India, but not here before. It is pretty amazing, and so it's just exciting. I love India, love the country. I know a lot of people from here, so I'm looking forward to a great race Sunday.
Just going back to your own personal career, we're obviously delighted to have you here as the ambassador for the race. 9 Olympic gold medals, 8 World Championship gold medals. What sort of tips and advice can you give these guys that are going to run 10K, the fun run on Sunday, in all of this heat and at altitude as well? I think it's about 800-900 meters here.
Yeah, well, the big thing is hydrate, because it is warm, and a lot of the runners are used to it. But a lot of the people that just getting out running, it's difficult for them. But I think that if you just go out and have fun, don't go out too fast, don't get too excited at the beginning of the race, I think they'll be okay.
And again, with your own career and the way that it spanned 5 Olympic Games and the 65 consecutive victories, I believe, in the long jump, what sort of focus do you think these guys need to have in the second half of their 10K race?
Well, the one thing, it's funny, because I ran for the Santa Monica Track Club, and we had a lot of good distance runners, and I used to always ask them, what do you guys think in your races? And it's really run your race, run it even. And so the second half is just try to run the race even and keep the pace going. Because so oftentimes, you know, the professional runners can surge and go back and forth, but most of the other people need to just try to keep it methodical and just keep it going mile after mile and just focus on the finish line.
I loved hearing you talk earlier on this morning when you mentioned about actually really pushing hard in the final stages. Everybody can find something, can't they? Everyone has a sprint finish of some kind.
Oh, absolutely. And the greatest thing I say is that you find someone in front and focus on them, because if you have 200 meters or 300 meters to go, in a race like this, there's always going to be someone in front of you. So therefore, focus on someone and say, let me pick that one off. And then when you get there, then pick that one off. Make sure it isn't too early, because you don't want to die right at the end.
and if we're right, you looked so graceful when you ran on the track. You were an absolute master of technique. 10K is a long way, but have you got any technical tips you could give the runners for Sunday about maybe their own technique and how to run?
Well, you know what's interesting? That's a good question. I mean, Alberto Salazar and I had this discussion. Coach Tellez, my coach, told Alberto, you know what? Distance runners run just like sprinters, but slower. Yes. So at the end of the way, you can learn from sprinters. Watch the way they sprint and just run the same way, but just run slower. So it's the same thing.
Fantastic. Now, if we look at the actual race itself and Bangalore as a city, the kind of carnival spirit that India and Bangalore bring to the race, what do you think in terms of your own progression over the years? How do you think Bangalore can grow and running can grow in India?
Well, one of the things, it already is, and it seems like it's booming here, and to have a race this big in a city like this is tremendous. But this is a city for technology, and so that's a way, and you're going to see, I think, why Bangalore can really grow fast, because people, whether it's through social media or the technology that's going on here, that's going to send it around quickly. But the big thing is that you have to understand that running is a social event. And a race like this is social. Some people are going in there trying to win the race, but most people are just trying to finish the race. So, and along the way they're talking to someone, they're meeting new friends, and they're encouraging others, and they'll have people on the sideline throwing water. That's what this race is about, and that's what's going to make it grow more. Bringing the family in. If they're not running, get them a part of it. Have them yell for you, have them send water for you, have them do anything.
Now you're still a very fit and healthy man. What are the health messages that running and athletics can bring to a nation and to yourselves?
Well, the greatest thing is to keep moving. Years ago, I heard someone say, if you don't have a reason to get up, you will not. So if it's just a slow run every single day or 3 times a week, then that inspires you to get up and keep going.
Do you think that being fit and healthy with nutrition, with the way you train, also has an impact on the way you're able to work and interact with your family and your own personal energy levels during the day?
Well, you know what? I'm 52 now, and that being a great question, because quality of life is what it is. I feel great. You know, I always said, oh my gosh, 50, but I feel like I did when I was 40s and 30s. So if you stay in shape, watch your diet, and there's a lot of good things in the Indian diet, because I love Indian food. So there are a lot of good things in their diet here. And if you do stay healthy, it makes it worth living longer, because the bottom line, it's when you get older, if you don't feel good, then it's not worth being here. And I know so many people that are so virile and they're so excited and they're so energetic. I even work out with someone who's 75.
Wow.
So she is great shape, she's happy, she's vibrant, and anyone can be that way if you just think of your body as a temple.
Are you coaching and mentoring athletes yourself back in the States these days?
Yes, I am. I mean, part of the thing that I do is I'm a coach at the University of Houston. Leroy Burrell now is the head coach there. Floyd Hurd, my teammate, he's the coach. And Kyle Tellez, who is my coach's son, we all work together. And it's an exciting thing for me. It just gives me an energy that I didn't know that I have right now. And not only working with the kids on the track, but also help mentoring them as young people.
Fantastic. And aside from your athletics, you're also a United Nations ambassador.
Yes, I'm a UN ambassador.
Just tell us about that and how that keeps you busy.
Well, it keeps me busy, and not only just traveling, obviously going to different countries, meeting presidents. I mean, what am I doing sitting down with presidents around the country and around the world? But that and going to the UN and giving speeches, but just understanding the difficulties that we have in our world. Because I focus on the Food and Agricultural Organization. So therefore, we're about food security, and there are 1 billion people that go to bed hungry every day. So how can we eradicate that? So it gets me outside of myself, between that and the other charity work and the other business things that I do and my relationships like Nike and other places. It just keeps me extremely busy.
I can tell. Very, very busy, but full of energy. What would you like the United Nations role to lead to maybe over the next year or two for the organization and for yourself?
Well, the biggest thing I think is getting everyone to understand that the United States wastes enough food every day to feed the rest of the world. I mean, that's a big, big issue. So when you go to throw out the food or not care about it, we need to cut back on our portions so that we can share with the world. But that's not just talking about Africa or some of the developing countries. People go to bed hungry in every country in the world, and understand that you can help in your own community.
I'd like to bring it back just to athletics if I could at this point. As a young man who stayed up all night watching you in 1984 at the LA Olympics and then followed your career avidly throughout, what for you, if you could narrow it down, would be the greatest moment of your career, do you think?
You know, it's really hard. Everyone has a story. And I have to say that the last medal, because that was at 35 years old, and I never even thought I would be in the Olympics at 35 years old. But the first medal is big because you can't win any if you don't win the first. So it's just hard to bring it down to, but I would say probably the last one if I had to really, really narrow one down, because I never would have thought I would have even been competing then. And to think that I could do it in my home country again and finish out my career in Atlanta was amazing.
One final question. What would be your message to everybody who's running this weekend and is maybe inspired by what they see and from hearing you to go out the door and maybe start running?
Well, one thing is this is an exciting time. We're going to look back 20, 30, 40, or 50 years from now and say, remember when running really got started in India? Remember that Bangalore race in 2014 when there were 25,000, and a few years before? Then there may be 50,000. The whole country may be running then. You're going to be a part of it. You'll be a part of the running revolution that happened in the United States in the 70s. And it's a great thing that's gone all over our country. It's happening now here.
Carl, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming to Bangalore. And we look forward to you being an absolute inspiration for everybody this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.